Hey YouTube, what's going on? ZeroMagnumX. So I brought you some pretty consistent deck profiles. This is more of a concept. If I had to say any deck on the channel was mine and mine alone, it would be this one. Because I found zero guides or anything to the Shockwave deck from Wave 1. So I just kind of worked on my own idea. Now, as you can see, there are way too many stars here. That's because I want to mention something before we start. You can run either Warpath or Raider Blowpipe in this deck, depending on what you feel you want to see more of. I personally like Raider Blowpipe because of the backside. When the upgraded character attacks, it gets +1 attack to on a turn for each different color among battle icons you control. You'll see why that matters for our deck here. Warpath, though, if you like the fighting against double blue, it can deal some damage. And then they can't use tough versus you. Again, you'll see why that kind of matters. So you can go with either or. For this purpose, we're just going to go with Blowpipe. Next up, we have Barrage. Also, I wanted to make a quick note. If you're looking for something a little bit more on the budget side, this is fairly budget. The deck itself, Decepticon Shockwave might be like 10 bucks, maybe like 13, but the others are like cents on the dollar. Barrage here, it says, when you flip to this mode, one of your characters gets pierced 2 until end of turn. It has 3 attack, 11 health, and 2 defense. On this side, he has 5 attack, 11 health, and 1 defense. Whenever this is attacking a damaged enemy, this card has Bolt 2, so you flip 2 more cards when attacking. This is mostly in here because of the star count. It fit the bill for everything I was looking for. If there's a better 7-star card you can think of, let me know after you see the deck itself. And then finally, the main card we use is Decepticon Shockwave. When you flip to this mode, each player draws 2 cards. 6 attack, 11 health, and 3 defense. One of the heavier alt modes of the game, actually. And then on this side, he only has 4 attack, 11 health, and 3 defense. When a card is scrapped from your opponent's hand, your opponent chooses one of their cards or characters and deals 1 damage to it. Now onto the deck itself. Surprise, we have a billion discard cards in this deck. First up is Sonic Scramble. Your opponent chooses a card from their hand and scraps it. If this is the 3rd Sonic Scramble you played this turn, draw 3 cards. And you can play another one. So if you have, and they're green pips, so you can add them to your hand easily through flips. So we play definitely the max 3 of it.
You want to play with me?
Next up is Collateral Damage. That's my daughter. For those of you who are wondering. Each player chooses a weapon on their characters and scraps it. Each player chooses a card in their hand and scraps it. Again, we're just going for that discard. It's a blue pip for some defensive flips. Next up is Disruptive Entrance. Look at your opponent's hand and scrap an action from it. Straightforward, just more discard. Disruption. Look at your opponent's hand and scrap an upgrade from it. Computer Sabotage, I'm only running 2 of these. I might even drop it down to 1 in lieu of another generic discard card. I might even take it out completely for something like Security Checkpoint. But your opponent chooses 3 cards from their hand and scraps the rest. It's okay. It can be like a big hit on one of their bots for Shockwave's damage, but generally speaking, I'd imagine hands, especially since we have so much discard in the deck anyway, aren't going to be a lot. There is this card system reboot. Each player scraps their hand and draws 4 cards. What that means for your opponent is that if they have a giant hand and you discard them down, they are dealing a lot of damage to one of their bots. And it also refuels your hand quite nicely. Brainstorm, we have so many discard cards, we want to play them in succession. So you can play an action, another action, so you brainstorm and then play like 2 discard cards. It's pretty straightforward. We're trying to capitalize on that burn damage. Next up is Escape Route. Choose one of your characters from bot mode into alt mode. That allows us to go, okay, well, you don't have any cards in hand to discard, so he's in bot mode. We'll switch him to alt mode, so draw 2, and then we'll flip him back over to get the maximum benefit. And you can grab it because it's a green pip and a white pip, so you flip 2 more cards, which also plays into like Blowpipe's strategy a little bit stronger. Unconventional flying object lets us flip one of our Shockwave to bot mode and then back to alt mode. So it's just like a draw 2 off of our character skill. You could run like a pep talk, but you want your opponent to draw the cards too, so you have more to discard. You just play that whenever, like, oh, you're out of cards, I'll play this. Flip, 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 and then hopefully you had like a brainstorm in that sequence, and then you can discard. If not, some of our upgrades discard cards. Or make it so that we can find cards that do. We run a set of anticipation engines because we want to attack and be able to cast more discard spells. Level Gamma Disruptive Launcher, and I did actually get the blue tinted one, which I was happy about. I think it's cool that there's little things like that. If there's a guy out there that likes the different things like crimped things or different colored things, that's me. I always like those little nuances. They add flavor and character to a deck. Anyway, you can put 2 of these into a Shockwave, and when you put it into a weapon slot, they discard a card, and it's +2 attack, which is nuts. It gives a blue idea deck a lot of damage. We're not really blue, but we don't have much in terms of like dealing damage outside of our discard and burn to spread damage. So like playing a couple of those might just let us like win a game. Rapid Ascent. When you put on a ranged character, that's kind of why we picked the ranged characters we did. Like I said, either Warpath or Blowpipe. And then I think Barrage is range as well, yeah, on his flip side. So we can get more discard going. And finally, Multi-Mission Gear. When you put this on a specialist, you may play an action. It's kind of like another Brainstorm. So we run 3 of that, and then 3 Force Field to round off the deck. So our guys take less damage and hopefully don't die. Again, this is more of a concept deck compared to the other decks that I've brought to you before. I hope you like it. If you have any suggestions or changes or improvements or anything that you'd like to see, let me know. I do not own Major Shockwave. That's why I kind of had to make this brainchild. And I kind of like the wide team a little bit more than I like the too tall team, especially since the too tall team isn't as tall as I'd like it to be. Anyway, have a great day, and I'll catch you next time. Later, everybody.